Hello and welcome to the Armenian News Network Groong Week in Review. This show was recorded on Monday, March 28, 2022. I'm Asbed Bedrossian, and this week Hovik Manucharyan and I are going to talk about the following major topics. This past week, Azerbaijan invaded a village in Artsakh's Askeran region, killing 2 and injuring 14 servicemen of the Artsakh Defense Forces. After 3 weeks, Azerbaijan is still preventing Artsakh from receiving natural gas during an especially cold part of the season. What do they want? And finally, we'll talk about the Azeri 5-point proposal for a peace plan and the Armenian response to it. To talk about these issues, we have with us Varuzhan Geghamyan, who is an assistant professor at the Yerevan State University and teaches on Turkey's modern history and the history of Azerbaijan. Hello, Varuzhan. Great to have you back.
Hello, Varuzhan.
Thank you. Hello, and thank you for having me.
Let's begin by looking at the top of the news last week. We did already cover the issue of gas in Artsakh. Despite it being restored for less than 3 days over the last weekend, it was turned off. And this week's problems only overshadowed last week's. What happened is the Azerbaijani armed forces, again breaking the November 2020 declaration, advanced into areas controlled by the Russian peacekeepers in Askeran, in Artsakh. The enemy notably used Bayraktar drones and heavy artillery in an attack that killed 3 people and injured over 14 Armenians. Azerbaijani forces also are reported to have taken the village of Parukh and also partly occupied a nearby strategic height called Karagluch. Women and children have been evacuated from the nearby village of Kharamort. It was previously reported that this village, Kharamort, as being the object of continuous harassment by Azerbaijan since at least a month, and they have been threatening daily through loudspeakers that Armenians should either leave or accept Azerbaijani rule. They've been broadcasting Islamic prayers multiple times a day. And of course, there was also even actual fighting using mortars, which was an escalation from before. So amidst all of this, what is Armenia's response? Some strong statements may have been made, right? Well, in actuality, Armenian officials said that this is an area of Russian responsibility and asked peacekeepers to demand rectification. In fact, even last week, Pashinyan said that he would sort of refrain from making comments on this. Meanwhile, Andrei Kocharyan, head of the Defense and Security Committee in the Armenian parliament, said that we should learn to live even with the gas turned off. Well, thankfully, he visits Artsakh probably every day or once a week at least, right? So he can tell the Artsakh that himself, who are freezing. In reality, we know that not many Armenian officials visit Artsakh nowadays. So the reaction from this weekend's escalation was the U.S. State Department has expressed deep concern about the Azerbaijani troop movements. Both Russia and France have demanded Azerbaijan return to previous positions. And as of late Sunday, March 27, the Russian peacekeepers reported that Azerbaijani forces have withdrawn from Parukh village. But Armenian sources report that the strategic height of Karagluch is still partially occupied. Meanwhile, the Azerbaijani MOD denied that they had withdrawn, essentially accusing the Russians of lying, also ruled out such a move in the future. And they also accused Russia of violating the declaration on allied relations signed by the presidents of both countries in February this year. Varuzhan, after that long introduction, let me ask you my question. Artsakh President Alek Harutyunyan applied to Putin to increase the number of peacekeepers in order to assure the safety of Artsakh citizens. So can you tell us more about, from the beginning, how this incident originated, if I missed anything? And do you think this appeal to Putin will help in any way?
Well, the escalation which happened is not something really surprising. We should understand why Azerbaijan is doing or acting so. There are 2 basic reasons behind this kind of activities by Azerbaijan side. The first one is they use every single opportunity to de-Armenize Karabakh. I mean, the activities which you already listed, with this switching on this music by loudspeakers or constantly applying to our Armenian villagers, saying that you should leave, otherwise you are going to be killed or something like that, are parts of the same, let's say, project, which is to use every opportunity to de-Armenize Karabakh. I mean, to make Armenians leave Karabakh and make them, believe that there is no opportunity to live there, even with Russian peacekeepers. So this is the first and main aim, and Azerbaijan is going to use every opportunity, even after all this, to make this happen. And we can add to this project, so-called, or to this aim, also their, let's say, gas politics, if we call it the way, this way. They cut the gas pipeline, which was, very, again, not surprising at all, because everybody who knows the geography and the infrastructural map of Artsakh and what remained of Artsakh, it was just a matter of time when they are going to do this. I even can predict that the next is going to be water supply and electricity supply from the Republic of Armenia to Artsakh. So the second main, let's say, aim is to cut fully Artsakh from Republic of Armenia. And this means at this stage, first of all, changing the infrastructural supply of Republic of Artsakh, because during this 20-something years, all the communication and all the infrastructure, critical infrastructure for Artsakh, was being connected, linked to the Republic of Armenia, from electricity to internet, from gas to water supply. And now we're seeing that Azerbaijan is trying to cut this infrastructure, which means that Artsakh is going to use the infrastructure of the Republic of Azerbaijan, which means that you are again integrated into Azerbaijan. One more step forward to be integrated into Azerbaijan, which is the aim of Azerbaijan, actually. And imagine if you have an opportunity not only use the hard power, or just to cut the gas pipeline and say, you have no opportunity to use it, and you are going to use my gas pipeline, which I'm going to construct from occupied Aghdam city to Stepanakert. But also you are using soft power, saying that, if you're going to use Azercell internet or my own telecommunication, I'm going to give you discounts for 5 years. Okay, so all the instruments of the hard power and soft power, they are going to use to make Artsakh be more integrated into the Republic of Azerbaijan rather than into the Republic of Armenia.
Right.
So these are the two main ideas behind these activities. But of course, out of this is a more long-term, mid-term or long-term goal. But out of this, of course, another major goal for Azerbaijan is to use again every opportunity to occupy new territories, which is for them is the most natural thing to do, because they see the Karabakh as a part of their country, as a part of their state, and they know that if there is an opportunity to even take one, hill or one small road, that then definitely they are gonna. And here, of course, one of the main tools is to make Russia to take out Armenian forces out of their trenches, out of their positions, using again by all means. It could be diplomacy, like in this case, that let's take out both sides from the front line, and then we're not gonna fight anymore or fire anymore. When you are taking Armenians, Azerbaijanis are not going out, but rather they are taking the positions of Armenians. This is actually what infamous approach by the Prime Minister of Armenia, that mirror withdrawal of the forces. This is actually what it will look like if it is going to be used in Yeras or in Sisunik, in Davush or any place. Azerbaijanis are not going to be out, but rather they are going to take the positions that the Armenians have left.
So Varuzhan, some media had reported that this whole ordeal originated because the Armenian side and the Azerbaijani side, with Russian mediation, had negotiated to have that mirrored withdrawal that you're talking about. But then apparently Armenians withdrew too much, and the Russians weren't able to sort of cover that area first. So Azerbaijanis essentially seized the opportunity. Is that an accurate description of what happened?
You know that the situation is very, tough, and we have a lot of information and misinformation and propaganda and other stuff. So what I can say based on my own open sources and the logic and what I've been told by especially Artsakh officials, the core of what happened is the following. Azerbaijan was using artillery and firing the villages around this place, this Kharamort village and Barokh village, for not only these days, but also like 2 weeks, 3 weeks ago, intensively firing, if you remember. And then Russia tried to mediate, saying that, if we can withdraw forces from both sides, and then it will make a peace. Both sides said yes, and naturally, Azerbaijan violated what they agreed initially, saying that, referring to the fact that, as there are Armenian forces there, then it means that you are violating the declaration from the 9th of November, 2020. So we see that this is a direct violation. It means that we can violate as well. So we're going to take this Barokh and Kharam. So, this is very much like an, fight between school guys, very minor and very basic things and arguments, but still it works because the main factor, Russian peacekeepers are incapable of opening fire. They have no mandate on this. They have no right to open a fire unless they are a direct target of any firing. So they can't fire Azerbaijanis when they are violating the agreement, of course, verbal agreement, and taking the Barokh or Karakaluk. So this is actually what happened.
So is their mandate unclear, Varuzhan, or is their mandate exactly what is their mandate?
To be honest, Russian peacekeepers haven't get any official paper from Azerbaijan till now, if you remember, actually, because you know that this is a part of another Azerbaijani negotiation with Russians, taking some concessions to give official mandate to be in the territory of the Republic of Azerbaijan officially. So what we have, we have only one paper, which is the 2 pages declaration from 9th of November, where there is no option about the Russian peacekeepers' function, on what they can do, what they can't do. So, this is a place for gaming, negotiation, and of course, Azerbaijan and Turkey are using every opportunity to say, guys, we haven't yet decided what you have to do. And of course, the timing is also very important. Yes. The timing is chosen perfectly from the side of Azerbaijan and Turkey, knowing that for Russia, there are higher priorities right now. And so we can do a bit more than we usually did. Okay. So if we have an opportunity to take this village and then start the negotiation rather than vice versa, start negotiation and then take the village, of course we are going to prefer the first option.
Yes, in fact, most recently Azerbaijani media has been adding reminder paragraphs that the Russian peacekeepers are in Azerbaijan for a limited term only.
So, having all this, coming to the first question, Hovik, whether it is right or not to apply to the Russian president, I think that, now Armenian side, and here I'm mentioning, first of all, the Artsakh Armenian government, not unfortunately the Republic of Armenia, because the Republic of Armenia is, fully out of the process, unfortunately, only giving some declarations like France or any other third party, not the Armenian side. We should use Armenian side should use every single way to reach out to Russians, making them understand again. Not understand actually, but stressing the fact that Azerbaijan is not gonna, live in peace, and some more additional options of protection of the Armenian population there should be created, somehow constructed. So I think this is right, of course. It will not give new things, but still, it is one of the ways to reach out to Russia.
The response from Russia was uncharacteristically blunt. In its daily bulletin describing the incidents, the Russian side blamed the Azerbaijani side for the initiation of the aggression and appealed to withdraw the troops to their starting positions. Varuzhan, we've seen world powers, express deep concern, be worried about what's going on, and et cetera, et cetera. But in your opinion, is Russia's current response different this time, in terms of severity and potential sort of repercussions for Azerbaijan, and why?
Yeah, it's a very good question, Hovik. I think that the game, if we can name all this stuff a game, the game between Russia, Azerbaijan, and Turkey, it is taking place within very narrow square 4 maneuvers, and there are many red lines whenever you turn a bit left or right. And this, Azerbaijan and Turkey are very well aware of these red lines, very well aware that for Russia, the South Caucasus is of critical importance, that the Nagorno-Karabakh is another major point of, let's say, influence, military influence over all of the region, not only the Karabakh. As you can clearly understand, Karabakh is not something really important for Russia from the perspective of just the land, but rather it's a focal point for having influence over all the South Caucasus and more, having the geography of the region. Both Turkey and Azerbaijan knows this, and they know that the red lines are there. So we can't violate these red lines, but we can be very, very, very close to it. And somehow we can make these red lines to be a bit moved. Not changing them, but rather, making some minor corrections. And what we are seeing in Kharamort or in Karagalouk, it is this kind of attempts. Because you see, when there is a noise about violation in the territory which is under the responsibility of Russian peacekeepers, and there is a huge noise which was created not only in Armenia but also in Russia from the nationalistic, especially groups and circles, Russia should react. Otherwise, you are going to have the same problems in Abkhazia, in Ossetia, in Moldavia, in Kazakhstan, in Kyrgyzstan, and many other places where there are Russian forces, in Syria, etc. Because if you are showing that, Ukraine take all of our resources and we can really work on other directions, then it's a green light for all other enemies and rivals of Russia to take their actions, because it is a clear sign that Russia is incapable of doing what it should do in other regions at this moment. So both of Baku and Ankara, they are making the maximum, taking maximum from this situation. And of course, I think that the last attempt was quite violation of the red line. And in both capitals, in Baku and Ankara, they are right now trying to understand how they can change the situation in their favor, because they somehow understood that this is the moment when they should stop, at least for a while. Okay, so but this doesn't mean that they are not gonna try again. Just vice versa. They're definitely gonna do that again when they see an opportunity, especially if in Ukraine, Russia will have major defeats or losses or anything which is not in favor of Russia, because it is highly interconnected to each other. So in this case, I see that the last announcement by the Russian Ministry of Defense was kind of a good message, not to Armenians actually, because Armenia unfortunately is not a geopolitical factor anymore, but rather to Baku and to Ankara that, guys, this is enough. I understand what you do, but this is it.
So, Varuzhan, I just want to underscore for our listeners, when you say that Armenia is no longer a geopolitical factor, isn't there some agency Armenia has, some choice that it's essentially choosing not to be a factor? I've always thought to myself, why can't Armenia make the cost of Azerbaijan and Turkey's incursions a little bit higher? For instance, could it message to Turkey that any further action by Azerbaijan could harm the normalization process, especially since Turkey every day announces that all of their actions are coordinated with Azerbaijan, meaning that the firing on Kharamort, in my opinion, at least as a regular reader, is also coordinated between Turkey and Azerbaijan. What real agency does Armenia have to gain any leverage out of this?
When I'm saying that Armenia is not anymore a geopolitical factor, I mean, first of all, the fact that the current leadership of Armenia refuses to be a geopolitical factor. And the very idea of this crazy idea about being an Armenian crossroad, for example, is just another, manifestation of this approach that, guys, we are ready to give our territory to all the sides. I mean, take it and use it however you want. Okay. And I'm serious. I mean, this has nothing to do with the geopolitics. And this means that you are not ready to act as a strong side in whatever, format you have. And if we add to this also the crazy idea about mirror withdrawal from all the front line and saying that, we call the European countries and Minsk group co-chairs to come and to bring their forces and to make between Armenia and Azerbaijan to put these forces, it means that you are granting your main duty as a state to keep the borders and to guarantee the security of population. You grant it to others, no matter they are allies or they are just neutral countries, but you are not fulfilling the main duty of any
purpose of government.
That's the purpose of government. Yeah, you are somehow you are breaking the civil contract. How ironic this is.
What I hear you're saying, Varuzhan, is that they have options and possibilities, but they're just not willing to take it, or they don't know.
There are plenty of.
And they have no clue about how to proceed.
Yeah. We have even during this program, we have talked several times about some opportunities.
Yes.
And there are opportunities, but and Armenia can be again a geopolitical factor, even in this situation after the capitulation, after the defeat in War 2020. But Armenia's government officially refuses from being a geopolitical actor, and here we should ask two questions which are not rhetoric. Why so? Okay, and if whether they don't really want, or they are made to refuse from this being again a geopolitical factor, and both of these questions they have the same answer. Yes, they don't want, first of all, because personally, if you take the rhetoric of these people, their mindset, their worldview, their approaches from the early beginning of their political career up to today, they are those who are, you have no political thinking in the sense that it will help to make Armenia great again. Okay.
Right.
And the second thing is that after the capitulation, if before that they had to use the discourse, the main general discourse in Armenia, which was pro-Armenian in many senses, saying that we should keep Artsakh, we should keep our borders, we should be, very strong against Turkish and Azerbaijani aggression. And the political elite of that time was trying to somehow use this discourse in their favor. After the 2020, they started to change the discourse, saying that Armenia is a weak country. It has no resources to resist. We should be, good friends of Turkey and Azerbaijan, not to make a noise, so that way we'll have a peace. So the peace, which was the main concept for this current government, is not a peace which should be created between equal partners, but rather another capitulation, saying that if I not to make a noise, if I don't disturb these people, then definitely they are not gonna take anyway, like beat me or make me, I don't know, fulfill their wishes. But which is actually in reality is again the opposite. We have a situation when every new concession is bringing a new concession, and you are losing the strategic depth to resist, which is very important.
Yeah, that's right.
A lot of what's happening also is happening within the global context of obviously the crisis in Ukraine. And what I saw on Twitter was very interesting. A lot of pro-American and anti-Russian commentators started blaming Russia as well, like for essentially basically sort of having a side deal with Azerbaijan and trying to kick Armenians out of Artsakh. I don't want to go into conspiracy theory territory, but do you think that there is some underhanded attempts to make the Russians fail and look bad, including even from the Armenian side?
Yeah, definitely. The short answer is, of course, there are attempts to devaluate the role of Russian peacekeepers, which are actually currently the main guarantor of the security, not only of Artsakh or what remained of Artsakh, but of course of Syunik as well. And all the attempts to somehow change the image of these Russian peacekeepers and all in general of Russia in the region is, of course, highly connected with this West-Russia confrontation. And unfortunately, there are people in the Armenian political elite which are in favor of this approach. And this is not a new thing. There are many anti-Russian people who are currently part of the government, who are currently members of parliament, and they are not even trying to keep silent their motivation. They are very openly pro-Western and pro-American. And I'm not even trying to judge this approach, but I can say only one thing, that for West, they don't really care about Artsakh or about Syunik. The only thing they really care is to take out Russia from the South Caucasus. And of course, in their understanding, South Caucasus should be a zone of or sphere of influence, actually, of West with the moderator Turkey, because Turkey is the only ally of a strong ally of West in the region, no matter all their tensions between Turkey and NATO, between Turkey and America. Still, it's a part of Western world. It's a part of it's an operator, or it's an intermediator of West in the region. And of course, if Russia is out from the South Caucasus, then this vacuum of great power should be filled. And of course, Turkey is the main power who is going to fill this vacuum. So in case of Turkey being the main let's say policeman in the region and the main great power in the region, I hardly imagine that the Armenian state has any perspective of surviving, because openly both Azerbaijan and Turkey are openly on the level of their highest military political elite. They're saying that a strong Armenian state should be out of the region. Armenia shouldn't have even an army. Armenia shouldn't try to be in any sense a geopolitical factor. And the only thing which Armenia should be is kind of a territory with economic and social, organization, which is kind of a sub-region of Turkey. So, with having all this in mind, seeing this in act. It is very hard for me to understand the motivation of any Armenian, especially a decision-making Armenian from the current elite, who says that, we don't really need Russia, we should take it out and bring West, which is not going to deploy any forces here, as you see in the Ukraine again, as you have seen in Afghanistan and many other places, in Georgia, but rather it can say like, that we are strong, standing strong with you, fight again, etc., etc. But the real aim of the support
Slava Armenia.
Slava Armenia, yeah, is to take out Russia from here. And here I can't really. I'm trying to say very neutrally that this is insane, and there is no logic behind. If you are an Armenian and you are advocating for Russia to be out, but here I should say also for your listeners, not to make wrong impression. Sorry. It is that I'm not advocating for Russia here, but one thing I firmly know as being a historian, a person who researches the history of this region, that out of three major geopolitical forces which are competing for this region, Russia, Turkey, and Iran, there is one which is clearly at no cost is for an Armenian state, and it is against an Armenian political presence in this region. This is Turkey, and this is openly being said, and this is a not new thing. Okay, and other two forces, Russia and Iran, is having a competition with Turkey. They are in favor of an Armenian state here because it's a main tool for the competition against Turkey. They are not supporting Armenia because they like our beautiful Armenian eyes. They are not supporting us because we are very, good people. No, they are supporting the Armenian state, already ready to support because of the Armenia's importance in the geopolitical competition over the South Caucasus. And this is a place for an Armenian elite to maneuver. This is a place how you can put your own national interests in line with the interest of Russia and Iran in the region. So, the approach shouldn't be a pro-Western or pro-Russian. It should be highly concentrated on the Armenian issues and Armenian national interest. And I don't know, fortunately or unfortunately, the Armenian national interests are in line with the interest of Iran and Russia currently in the region. So this is very, very clear for anybody who really digs into the history, geopolitics, and geopolitical geography of the region. Otherwise, you are just a person who read an article on a website somewhere in New York or London, and you are judging about real things, about the fate of the people and the fate of a nation by some propaganda booklets or propaganda materials which are written for a special force with the special aim and not in favor of Armenian armies. Definitely.
Varuzhan, you mentioned Sunik a little while ago, and I think it's important to highlight that these border skirmishes and then the incursions by Azerbaijan have shifted our focus. But last week we also had sort of advances by Azerbaijan in Armenia proper, or news about that. I don't know if it happened exactly last week, specifically the community of Nerkin Hand in Sunik. And it was the community leaders that complained about Azerbaijani armed forces moving about basically half a kilometer deep into Armenia. And when asked about this, Defense Minister Papikyan, who was in Sunik, dismissed the claims and said that Azerbaijani servicemen had simply returned to their previous positions that they had controlled, but recently had to leave temporarily due to harsh weather. I think this is all sort of Armenian territory, right? But I guess for this government, is being an occupied territory is a normal state of affairs. I'm not sure what to think. What are the reasons for Papikyan's visit? And I guess there was also news about the death of two Armenian servicemen that happened.
Yeah,
but I don't know if this is related. I think it was attributed to suicide. Yeah, your reaction.
We should start again with the reason why Azerbaijan is doing this skirmishes and why they are taking the new positions. Actually, this is what I already mentioned. To take any hill, any road, any infrastructure which is critical for advancing into the territory, which is Armenia, but which is currently not being kept by the Armenian side, unfortunately. So, as in the Azeri imagination, in the Turkish imagination, Syunik is not an Armenian. Actually, there is no Armenian, in their imagination.
Sad, but true.
This is and this is not on the level of just the rhetoric, but this is a level of political thinking. And I just would like to share with you the column by the former chief of staff of Turkey, İlker Başbuğ, which I found recently, writing a paper on the corridors and the war. I found his op-ed in one of the Turkish opposition newspapers, Cumhuriyet, and it was really very, very, very interesting in the sense of showing the political thinking. İlker Başbuğ was the chief of staff. He is a famous general in Turkey, though he is currently in opposition, but still all his editorial was in favor of the government, because government made really important decisions supporting Azerbaijan in the war and having this Zangezur corridor on the table. And in this column, he said that while he was the chief of staff and many times he visited Azerbaijan, he remembers that he was speaking with Azeri brothers, saying that the day should come and we'll connect our countries with the main land border. And we should take this opportunity, and hopefully the day will come, because this is the idea of Kemal Atatürk and all the his successors, and someday I hope it will come. And then he says that now finally I see that this is being realized, and what can be more what can make me more happier than having seen this this dream come true? And he is in opposition again. So this is the level of understanding of Turkey and Azerbaijan. Syunik should be taken out from Armenia, because it's an historical Turkish so-called Turkish land, and it should connect Azerbaijan to brother countries. It should connect them by mainland territory. So this is on the level of political thinking.
Is this a recent article?
It is. It was written in December 2020. I just found it, and I'm gonna translate it and publish on my blog to make people again see that this is not about Erdogan, as many currently describes what happens currently by Turkey, saying that Erdogan is a crazy guy. That's why he's trying to take all the lands. But when he will go, and someday he will definitely go, we'll have another opportunity for peace, coexistence, and many other things. By the way, recently I met one European high official here, and we were discussing the situation in the South Caucasus in general. I said that this is not about Erdogan. This is about the political thinking in Turkey and Turkey's critical interests, etc. And this official said that, one thing we know for sure, what you say, this is not for sure, but one thing we know for sure, that this is currently being done by Erdogan, and Erdogan is going to die one day. So we know this, and we should keep only this in mind, not concentrating on other things, which is not a political thinking, but rather very propaganda stuff. So coming back to Syunik, again, Azerbaijan is trying to use every opportunity to take the important hills and infrastructure, which opens opportunity not only to make additional pressure on Armenia during the negotiations, on the corridors, on the roads, on Artsakh, or any other thing, but also it is preparing a ground for possible military attack on Syunik, and to cut Syunik fully from the rest part of the Republic of Armenia, which is not really from the from in real or from virtual reality. This is really a plan of Turkey and Azerbaijan, and if we see the military drills, if we see the transportation of military in the region, we can surely say that there are at least plans in case Azerbaijan is not fulfilled with the Armenia's approach, Turkey is not fulfilled with Armenia's approach, and in case they see an opportunity, they're definitely going to cut Syunik, especially from this part of Ishkhanasar and Sevlich, which is the narrowest part of Syunik and actually the beginning of Syunik. So here, we should remember one more thing. It is Iran's role. And just yesterday, the information came from Iranian side, from the Telegram channels affiliated with the Iranian government and Iranian army, that again, we just remind Azerbaijan that any changes of the international recognized territory of Armenia is gonna get an answer from the Iranian side. And if we remember also the military drills from September 2021, which was clearly a sign that Iran is ready to act in case Azerbaijan or Turkey are going to violate Syunik, are again proofs that the military attack on Syunik is not just, crazy idea, but it's a very real thing. And the second major geopolitical force in the region, Iran, is currently is being prepared for this possible option.
This was by the Revolutionary Guard, right?
Yeah, exactly. Telegram channel affiliated with the Revolutionary Guard.
Okay.
So this we have for sure. So what Azerbaijani side did, it was just taking a new hill when they see an opportunity. From the Armenian government side, again, this is being not, I'm sure that they were aware of what is going to be done there, because for them, this is another way to make the future delimitation and demarcation process very easy, because currently what we see on along all the front line, it is that Azerbaijani side is taking the positions which are, according to them, parts of this new delimitation and demarcation process. So this are the new borders between Armenia and Azerbaijan. And if Azerbaijani side is already in control of these territories, then the future process of demarcation and delimitation is not gonna be a painful process, because what they took, they already took. Okay, so this is a way to communicate this delimitation and demarcation in this way, because nobody is gonna make really huge protest if you are handing once in 2 months land, a small village or something like that, or a road. But if you are doing this, in a package, then definitely you're gonna have problems. At least you are gonna have much more serious problems than if you give just in 2 months, one plane or something like that. So Armenia's government reaction is not surprising again for me. And if you have noticed, again, as in many other cases, when there was a noise on this, information noise in the Armenian world about the fact that Azerbaijanis again violated and took out Armenian territory. First of all, there was no reaction by the government side. Then there was really not strict, no definitive reaction to this with the announcement. And then when the grievance of nation already passed, they said that, this is a territory which was already controlled by them. So they're not saying that the control by Azerbaijan is not a bad thing. They are not saying this. Isn't a bad thing. But they're rather saying that, this is a normal thing, because they already took. It was winter. It was impossible for them to stay. They went back and came back again. But nobody is asking, okay, if they went out, why didn't you take it? That's right. If you are saying that this is an Armenian territory. So this is the approach of the Armenian government. Again, this refers to what we already discussed in the first section, when we said that there is no will and there is no understanding of the importance of this by the Armenian government. And the last thing is that Suren Papikyan's visit is just a propaganda visit to say that we are there, we are in control of the situation, and no worries because I'm there and I know what happened.
Yeah, that's what I was actually going to ask you. The other reason for Babigan's visit was the death of 2 servicemen in non-combat situations, one of them possibly involving a quote-unquote externally forced suicide situation. What does this tell you about the condition of our servicemen?
I can't really, in some way assess the moral situation because I'm not a specialist on this, and I'm a bit very very far from the current situation of the army. But I can judge based on the rhetoric which is being constructed on the level of industrial level in Armenia by the current government, which is that we are weak, we have no potential of fighting, we shouldn't think about war. The prime minister's words from the last year, everybody remembers when he said that what you want from me, you want me to start a war for 30% of the Sevlich, or you want me to start a war for this inhabited not inhabited hill somewhere in Geral Kunik. You want me that? We are not going to use this territory, so just leave it to Azerbaijanis. This is not a reason for war. So this rhetoric, which was being pronounced by Prime Minister, is currently being circulated on different levels with different tools, trying to show that there are no,
that's the mental state of the government.
That's the mental state of the government. And actually, this is being already imposed on the population, which was actually, again, having all the surveys and all the other vulgar sociology stuff. We can say that unfortunately, the Armenian population sees a threat from Turkey and Azerbaijan, and this is a very real thing. So there is a hope still that the population will stand against this kind of approach and this kind of policies.
All right. Since March 8, Artsakh has been without natural gas, as we know. We talked about this last week, and the problem remains. Fortunately, after the previous week's terrible snowstorm and freezing weather, the weather has warmed up a little bit, but in Artsakh the weather is always a real factor because of the mountainous terrain. On Tuesday, Artsakh and also Freedom House stated that there's a real humanitarian crisis brewing here, and the situation and living conditions are deteriorating. The EU expressed concern about the continuing disruption and made a meaningless statement calling on, quote-unquote, the authorities in control to resume gas service. I guess the EU doesn't know who interrupted the gas to Artsakh's population. Russia called for the immediate resumption of the gas service, but the statement asked, quote-unquote, Armenia and Azerbaijan to resolve the issue of the gas supply. So that's where we stand today. This would have been our top issue today because it is stopping not only heating of people's homes in current freezing temperatures, but also businesses, bakeries, and the food supply.
And even hospitals and emergency services.
Yeah, this is a major situation that is brewing over there. Artsakh President Arayik Harutyunyan on Thursday claimed to have authorized Vitaly Balasanyan to negotiate with Azerbaijan to restart the gas service. Hovik contacted Vitaly Balasanyan's team, and they have rejected this claim, after which the statement on the Artsakh's Unified Info Center site was altered to omit the issue. Why was Balasanyan's name thrown in the fray, especially since it apparently was later corrected and removed?
I don't really know the reason behind, but I can make an assumption that this is because of there are some which is very surprising and bad, but there is still some local politics in Artsakh in this situation, and this is connected with this balance of power between different sides in the Artsakh political landscape, a very narrow landscape, but still it exists. And that there are still people of Samvel Babayan, who is currently one of the allies of the Nikol Pashinyan's government, and his people is still there in Artsakh's parliament, which creates some, difficulties for the unification of Artsakh's elite against Azerbaijani threats, because these people are acting along with the decisions of Samuel Babayan, and Samuel Babayan, he is fully in support of Nikol Pashinyan's approach that we can even see Artsakh as a part of Azerbaijan. I can connect to this.
But when we're talking about negotiating with Azerbaijan, what is there to negotiate? I've actually heard that Azerbaijan has repeatedly said that gas deliveries to Stepanakert are within the purview of Azergaz, which is, a subsidiary of Sokar, and that Stepanakert authorities should apply to Baku to get their gas fixed. It's obvious that they're interested in asserting control over communications, energy. We talked a little bit about this earlier, Varuzhan. But what are the logistics involved in all this? How is this going to work itself out?
I think there is no long-term solution to this problem because Azerbaijan is gonna make every effort to cut all the infrastructure which connects Artsakh to Republic of Armenia, and instead of that, put Artsakh into the Azerbaijani infrastructural context, because it is the part of, in their understanding of the integration of Artsakh back into their territory.
So is there any possibility of rerouting the pipelines to Armenian-controlled territory? And you were telling us earlier that electricity will come to the same situation, cell phones will come to the same situations, all of these things. Does it even make sense at this point with the geography to do any of these things?
I think that no, there is no long-term solution other than taking back control of the Armenian territories which are currently being occupied by Azerbaijan. Because the situation with the remainder of Artsakh is very artificial. The territory which currently Artsakh occupies, there are no natural front lines. There are no places for any security guarantee for the Artsakh people. And it is obvious that handling territories to Azerbaijan, it was obvious, will create this kind of problems. And we were mounting on this from the early beginning of the capitulation. But as you see, that this is not a huge problem for the current Armenian government, because they openly said, the MPs said that, they can live without gas. Then they're gonna say that, okay, no worries, use the Azerbaijani gas, no difference, you are using the same gas. This is the same gas, okay, and it is much cheaper than. So this is, if there is no political will, then this process will continue in that way or another, and finally the destination will be either both the exit of Armenian population, or the majority of Armenian population from there, and what will remain out of this will be integrated into the Azerbaijan with the all consequences. So political solution for the Artsakh is making security guarantees not on the paper but rather on the front line. And this should be on the main agenda of Armenia. This should be the main agenda of Artsakh. And actually, we have seen that this was the main agenda in Azerbaijan after the defeat in 1994. I hardly imagine any Azerbaijani elite who, after the 1994 defeat, would say that, let's forget about Karabakh, let's, make a peace or other stuff. It's insane to understand or to imagine this kind of stuff. But what we see right now is insane from the Armenian position. Here it is important also to mention one major change in the Armenian rhetoric. We're not, the Armenian side, the Armenian government is not talking about self-determination anymore and the status out of the territory of Azerbaijan, but rather they are mostly stressing the fact that we are guaranteeing the rights of Artsakh people. And this is not a political category, because the rights of Artsakh people, for example, could be fulfilled or guaranteed on the paper in the territory of Azerbaijan, granting them a cultural autonomy, or like in Turkey, everybody knows in 1923 when the Lausanne Agreement was made, Armenians, Jews, and Greeks were granted some basic rights. the right to have their own schools, their own graves,
cemeteries.
how we call them, cemeteries. Cemeteries.
To die in peace.
To have a possibility to talk with their own land. To die in peace, and which actually happened, because out of the whole huge Greek Armenian population, there are only collectively 100,000 people left in their own homeland. So this could happen again in Azerbaijan. Azerbaijan can say, guys, no worries, we'll guarantee the rights. And actually they are saying that we'll guarantee all the rights of Armenian population in Azerbaijan, saying that Karabakh is part of Azerbaijan. And when the Armenian side is putting this on their agenda as the main thing, it means that you are refusing from political agenda, but rather saying that this is a cultural, social problem, and we're going to solve it with some guarantees. And Azerbaijan could easily do that. It will not do that right now, because they have a strong position, and they can say that, no, guys, nothing will be. They are just the citizens of Azerbaijan, and that's it. Okay? But in the case of some pressure, they can say, no worries. We'll guarantee the rights. We'll give them a cultural autonomy. They will have their own schools with our own curriculum, with the Azerbaijani curriculum, and that's it. Which is changing the whole idea of the national struggle, the whole idea of the Karabakh process, which started in 1920, and which is actually treason against our national rights.
Varuzhan, that statement about we want to safeguard the rights of Armenians, and we also expressing interest about the status was mentioned by the Armenian side most recently in response to this 5-point proposal from Azerbaijan that we heard about. I don't want to make you repeat yourself, and we had other guests talk about this, so I would love to, get your formal response on this as well. A couple of weeks ago, the Azeri side said that it has submitted a 5-point proposal on a peace plan, and Armenia said that there is nothing in that proposal that is contrary to Armenia's sort of desires. But with the minor modification of the status of Artsakh, which as you said, could be some kind of a status within Azerbaijan, and the rights of the in Artsakh Armenians. Can you tell us how is the Azeri peace plan acceptable for Armenia? What are we missing?
No, even the formal way how Azerbaijan puts these 5 points, 5 principles maybe, is not an equal conversation, but rather another way to make Armenia capitulate. And this is not being discussed. This is not. All the points are not in the Armenian agenda. From the formal perspective, that's why this makes very difficult to say that this is a good start for peaceful coexistence, or etc. Because if you look at the points, from the formal side, maybe from the first glance, let's say, they are not. They are very good. They are in accordance with the international law and many other things. But when I look at these principles, I have an impression that these principles were written on another planet and being put on the table here, because there is no context there, but the context is there. The conflict is there. That's why you can't just make beautiful points there and put them on the table saying that we are not against it. Because when you have a point on the on that nobody is gonna make any advances in another's territory, it means that, for example, me as a person, if I want to go as a volunteer to fight for the rights of Artsakh Armenians, then my government is gonna close the border for me in Bedzor, in Lachin, not giving me an opportunity to go and fight for my country, part of my country. If we look at the context, then all the 5 points are against us, and that's why it is not surprising anymore for me, but again very painful that Armenian side is saying we are okay, because who said that the peace agreement with Azerbaijan or with Turkey is the highest priority of Armenian government right now. Who gave a mandate to the Armenian government to close up all the national struggle with the military forces, with the military resistance against other aggression, and many other things. Armenia's population never gave a mandate. Even with the last elections, never the government was saying openly that they are gonna close the page of Artsakh struggle, because they were saying, no, we'll make every effort, we'll use this term. They were using the term of remedial secession. They were using this term. They were saying that we are, keeping the army strong. In case we need it, we'll use it. But now, when they got the election, they changed all the rhetoric, and all their activities are currently contradicting to the national ideas. And that's why I can assess this approach again as a part of the new capitulation, which unfortunately most probably is going to be signed in the future. If no, of course, national resistance against this will rise in Armenia.
Okay, before we close, let's see if there are any topics from the panelists. Varuzhan, is there something you want to get off your chest?
Yeah, just to say that this is a critical moment in our history, and everybody should take a responsibility. Everybody, in diaspora, in Armenia, take a huge responsibility and make some action, make calls to action. So, otherwise, we're going to judge about the Armenia only on the history textbooks, not written in Armenia, definitely.
Well, all right. We'll leave it there for today. Thank you, Varuzhan. Thanks a lot for joining us. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Varuzhan.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, that was our Week in Review show, and we hope it helped you catch up with some of the issues in and around Armenia from this past week. As always, we invite your feedback and your suggestions. You can find us on most social media and podcast platforms or our website, groong.org. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel on YouTube, like our pages, and follow us on social media. On behalf of everyone in this episode, we wish you a good week. Thanks for listening, and we'll talk to you next week.